The meme wars have begun in earnest. Free speech is the battle line, and it is the EU and UK on one side versus the US and Elon Musk on the other. And Elon Musk is very much in the thick of the action because, well, of course he is. The X platform is the Achilles heel of the global censorship state, and they know it. It's been said that Musk didn't pay $44 billion for Twitter. He paid $44 billion to save freedom of speech, and the more time passes, the more true that looks, and the more desperate the censors are becoming to shut him down. Now, before Donald Trump's re-election, the EU tried to censor Elon Musk's interview with Trump on X, issuing a long-winded threat full of bureaucratic language, but which, when you cut through the crap, can only be interpreted as an attempt by the EU regime to interfere in the US presidential election and the campaign of Donald Trump. Musk told them to jog on, and he has kept on musking ever since. Now the EU have slapped Musk with a €120 million fine for breaching the EU's Digital Services Act in 3 specific ways, none of which makes sense. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's this fine that has sparked the latest round of hostilities and escalations in what may prove to be the most consequential battle of our generation, the battle for freedom of speech in Europe, the one-time cradle of human rights and civil liberties. The future of civilization is genuinely at stake, and the memes make it all worthwhile. It turns out that the Third World War may not be televised, but it will be tweeted, and that's just as good. But before we dive into the madness, my name's Topher, this is the Topher Project, and I help busy people like you to cut through the crap and make sense of the madness that surrounds us. I am 100% viewer supported, so if you appreciate what I'm doing here at the Topher Project, then please help me to keep the Topher Project going by buying me a coffee via the button at topherfield.com. And while you're there, check out my books. Especially relevant to today's topic is my first best-selling book, Good People Break Bad Laws. This is all about civil disobedience in the modern age. And believe me when I tell you that civil disobedience is one of our primary weapons in this new kind of warfare, where we have to fight for our rights from our own government. There's also my second best-selling book about the theology of civil disobedience. There's the DVD of my multi-award-winning documentary Battleground Melbourne, and there's a range of t-shirts including my classic Good People Break Bad Laws design in both t-shirts and in hoodies, as well as my new history design in t-shirts and in a premium hoodie. With a fully lined hood, this is a beautiful hoodie. And yes, it is more expensive because it is a premium hoodie, but I promise you it's worth it. This will instantly be your new favorite and most snuggly hoodie. That is a promise from me to you. Then there's the new eye-catching silhouette design, the cigar and whiskey design, and the cross design with my best catchphrases in a subtle streetwear style. Then there's my caps in either the 1984 design, which is very relevant for my US viewers, and also my TF monogram, which looks great and you can wear anywhere. And finally, we also have sticker packs. Check them out and spread the good word in your world. And everything that you buy is going to help me to keep the Topher Project going. Let's begin by reading the reasons for this €120 million fine against Musk. There are 3 separate fines. €45 million is for the allegedly deceptive verified blue tick program, where people could become verified simply by paying. The EU claimed that this is deceptive because it doesn't actually verify that the person is who they say they are online. The problem for the EU here is that Meta do exactly the same thing for their Facebook and Instagram platforms, and the EU have not fined Meta for doing that. The second and third fines, which make up the remaining €75 million, are because X won't share their proprietary customer information to the world for free. And the EU, like the communists that they are, think that they should be able to have anything they want at no cost to themselves. And it's this fine against X and the associated social media crossfire that has been so incredibly hilarious to watch. As I covered in a video the other day, JD Vance warned the world about the EU censors targeting X. But what I didn't mention in that video is that Helmut Brandstatter, a former journalist and current member of the European Parliament, tried to call him out, claiming there is no censorship in Europe. But this is where it gets really fun, because right the way up and down the chain of command inside the Trump administration, they have gotten the memo, and they are getting busy taking potshots in the meme wars. Notably, there's a video from my new favourite X account, Undersecretary of State Sarah Rogers, who was travelling in Europe and dropped this absolute banger of a video in direct response to Mr. Helmut Brandstatter MEP.
I got off my European train and checked into my European hotel and noticed that a member of European Parliament called Helmut Brandstätter tweeted, quote, "There's no censorship in Europe. Everyone has to follow our rules." Well, I'm traveling here on a diplomatic passport, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to say a few things that ordinary Europeans can't by revisiting some remarks for which people in Europe and also the UK have been investigated or arrested or jailed by their governments over the past few years. So, as I tweeted a few moments ago, a German woman notoriously received a harsher jail sentence than a convicted rapist after the woman called the rapist, quote, "a disgraceful pig." This was after he participated, along with several other disgraceful pigs, in the gang rape of a 15-year-old girl in a public park. Similarly, a British woman was dragged out of her bath by 11 police officers after she referred in a private text message to a man who allegedly violently assaulted her as, quote, "a faggot." And victims of violent crime aren't the only people who lack free speech rights in Europe. In Sweden, an activist called Rasmus Paludan was jailed after he burned a Quran and referred to Islam as gay Islam. Finally, in Germany, a man faced a criminal investigation for referring to Green Party leader Ricarda Lang as, quote, "fat." There are many more. I could go on, but it's important to note that the European censorship bureaucracy often postures as populist, fighting against big tech. Yet none of the people I listed as a large tech company. These are ordinary Europeans and one Brit who were punished by their governments for saying what they thought was true, or just what they felt like saying. In a free society, that shouldn't happen. So which is it, Mr. Brandstätter? Is there no censorship in Europe, or do we all have to follow your rules?
To everyone on planet Earth who has diplomatic immunity, that's how it's done. That is what you do with your diplomatic immunity. Well played, Sarah Rogers, well played. And everything she said is absolutely true. The German court really did punish hurty words about a rapist more harshly than they punished the rapist. And all the other examples she gives are real as well, and there are so many more. But the Europhiles, the apologists for the communists in Brussels, are fighting back with lame memes like this one, trying to pin Musk as being the same as their arch-enemy, Vladimir Putin. And the cucks over at... the tame journalists, but I repeat myself, over at Reporters Without Borders are keen to portray the EU as a bastion of press freedom and the US as a dangerous place to speak truth to power. But again, this is a meme war, and if a picture speaks 1,000 words, a meme paints 1,000 pictures, like this one. Of course you're allowed to ask questions. Here's the list of approved questions. You're absolutely free to study and investigate for yourself. Here's the list of approved sources. We're not trying to stifle your thoughts. We want you to learn everything you can as you reach the approved conclusions. It would be funny if it weren't so true. Now, Switzerland is on their list of free countries, but Switzerland put people in prison for questioning trans ideology. And Germany, supposedly one of these countries freer than the US, was recently featured on 60 Minutes.
Yes, it is.
And that's clear. Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician...
That sticks around forever.
Yeah.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking hate speech laws can include jail time for repeat offenders. But in most cases, a judge levies a stiff fine and sometimes keeps their devices.
How do people react when you take their phones from them?
They are shocked.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in northwest Germany.
Hier ist die Polizei, wir müssen bitte mal mit Ihnen reden.
Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online. At the exact same time, across Germany,
Wir haben einen Durchsuchungsbeschluss mit dieser Wohnung.
more than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors say is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
But once again, the memes win. This meme is a direct quote from that 60 Minutes report with a subtle modification to the picture. See if you can spot it. It is pretty subtle. But all jokes aside, life in the EU and the UK is still pretty good. I mean, you can't complain, or else you'll get arrested. And no, that's not actually an exaggeration. Watch as Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, preaches in public how free the EU is as a man gets arrested for what he is saying. Watch the video. You could not make this stuff up.
Thank you very much for receiving me. And first of all, to those who scream and yell here so loud, they can be happy that they are in a free country like Finland, where the free speech is a right, where they have not any restrictions. If they would be in Moscow, they would be in jail in 2 minutes. Thank God we have a democracy. Thank God we have free speech. We can
Be glad you're in Europe, or else you'd be being arrested, she tells the man who is in the middle of being arrested in Europe. Well, this meme pretty much sums it up. The US Vice President says Europe does not accept free speech. Europe says that the Vice President's speech is not acceptable. That's literally it. And that's not to say that the US is perfect. For example, this man was imprisoned for some pretty nasty memes after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And to be clear, I find his comments about Charlie disgusting. But I will defend his right to freedom of speech, just the same as I'll defend yours. But the difference in the UK is that in the US, is that these stories are the exception, not the rule. And the charges usually get dropped because they know they'll never win, thanks to the First Amendment of the US Constitution. But in Europe and the UK, they are doing coordinated raids, prosecuting people and imprisoning them for years at a time because of words on social media. And the people of the EU, well, they want free speech, and specifically, they want X, with record numbers of downloads in recent weeks and especially in recent days, propelling X to the #1 spot in every European country. And Musk, well, he's riding high, not only because of his popularity in Europe, but because he knows he has the full backing of the Trump administration.
Add one more thing on the Online Safety Act, and I emphasized this earlier, but I want to say it again. It's misguided and unfortunate to apply that law in Britain, but applying that law extraterritorially, which means applying it to speech that has nothing to do with Britain, does not occur in Britain, is on American platforms by American users on American political issues, purporting to censor Americans in America is a deal breaker.
It is absolutely kicking off. The meme wars have begun in earnest, and the re-election of Donald Trump, combined with the rise of Elon Musk, has given all of us a fighting chance. Now, I know there's a lot of issues with Trump. He spends too much, he supported the warp speed vaccine program, and his handling of the Epstein situation has been abysmal. But ask yourself, what would the world look like right now if Kamala Harris was president? Free speech would already be dead, and the globalists would have already brought about a new dark age. But that's not what happened. We are still very much in this fight. And one of the most important weapons that we have in this fight is civil disobedience, the willingness to disobey the censors and the petty tyrants in government. That's why I wrote my first best-selling book, Good People Break Bad Laws. It draws on history, political philosophy, and my own first-hand experiences on the front lines of the protests and pushback against our own homegrown petty tyrant during COVID, Daniel Andrews. It's all about civil disobedience in the modern age, and it's a starter's guide to how we can all be part of the pushback against censorship and petty tyranny in our own lives today. Head over to topherfield.com and grab your copy today. While you're there, check out my second book, as well as my DVD, my t-shirts, hoodies, caps, and stickers, and everything that you buy will help me to keep the Topher project going. And I do my best work when I am highly caffeinated. So if you already have my books and merch, then please support me by buying me a coffee via the button that you'll find at the homepage at topherfield.com. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. The algorithm loves you, and so do I. Please like, comment, subscribe, and as always, think free.